What's a rich people thing you experienced once and immediately understood why rich people love it? I used to think rich people were impatient because they were entitled. I realized they're impatient because they've tasted what it's like when the world actually works efficiently. And once you've had that, every 15-minute delay feels like a personal tax on your life. I waited tables at a very high-end restaurant in California, and one night I opened a bottle of wine for a table that was over $1,000. The guy buying it insisted that I taste it and poured me a tiny bit in a glass. I told him I thought it was incredible. At the end of their meal, he ordered another bottle and said, "This one is for you. Thank you for taking such good care of us this evening." I just stood there in shock and thanked him profusely. After they left, I called my girlfriend and told her, and she came to the restaurant and shared it with me after my shift. I can still remember how it tasted. So a few years ago, I went on vacation with some friends. First time I'd ever really done that, so something was bound to go wrong. And it did. I got my days mixed up at my hotel, and I got there a day earlier than I was supposed to. So I had to buy an extra day, but there was only one room available, the suite at the top floor. So for one night, I stayed in a presidential suite that I absolutely could not afford, with a bedroom, a dining room, and a giant glass shower. After that, I explored the city, got a burger, and then ate an entire Japanese cheesecake with my bare hands. I've been chasing that high ever since. You missed the opportunity of a lifetime to eat that entire Japanese cheesecake with your bare hands in the giant glass shower while overlooking the city like a president would. Connections and hookups. My siblings and I were meeting in Las Vegas for a weekend, and my sister had more money than any normal person should have. She booked us at Poppy's Steakhouse, a very high-end steakhouse where the cheapest steak on the menu is about $82. The rest of us are wondering if we want to split a steak, and the rich sibling says, "I want the gold case," which is a $1,000 steak presented in a gold suitcase. She said that if we each pay $100, she'll order it. Well, during this time, we had ordered about one appetizer but received 5. After a few minutes, the lights over our table started flashing, a special soundtrack played, and 15 people came out presenting the gold suitcase. It turns out she knew the owner of the place who hooked us all up. The gold suitcase was presented, she wanted the presentation, but we all split 3 steaks. It was probably $2,000 of food for half price.
After that, she said that she had tickets for us to Club XS with Calvin Harris playing that night. Okay, a chance to buy overpriced drinks, etc. It turns out that we had a table there. She was walking through the casino and a friend of hers that she knew from a racing event stopped her. He had even more money than she did and had a table there that night to celebrate his birthday. It was a $10,000 table with a couple of minions to pour drinks. Best night I've ever had in Vegas.
A first-class lie-flat seat on a long-haul flight. I showed up tired, ate real food with a metal fork, put on pajamas, and slept horizontally at 35,000 feet. Got off the plane like a human being. No neck pain, no regret. Suddenly understood why people never go back to economy. My mom was a pediatrician for some very impressive people's children. She also organized medical mission trips to Southeast Asia. One year, we got stuck in the country we were working in due to the protests in Thailand closing the airport. We couldn't get a flight anywhere, and this was in the era where we'd have to go to an internet cafe to try to connect to anyone to book flights. The airlines were leery of booking international flights if the name on the credit card did not match at least one person on the reservation. It was a mess. Out of desperation, my mom emailed one of her clients' personal assistants asking for help. Mind you, besides a yearly donation to my mom's charity, and my mom being the pediatrician for his many children, this client had nothing to do with this trip. The next morning, we had a reply. "We're working on booking you flights, and we have a private plane ready to fly into the country you're in if we can't book you on an airline. Please give all relevant booking details for all members of your trip." By that afternoon, we all had flights home. I work in ultra high net worth households, and the main thing that stands out, particularly in the billionaire class, is how helpful it is to have staff that manage your life. When I'm flown out for a job, they have their personal assistant manage, book, and pay for all the logistics for me. My flight, travel, and transportation. So all I have to do is show up with my license, chef knives, and uniform. It's an insane kind of peace of mind you get to have, and it allows you to focus on the things you'd prefer. Whenever I communicated with a client's point of contact, I was given an answer and solution promptly. When I was trying to extend a rental car at the airport, the rental agency wouldn't let me do it until my departure flight was changed. I texted the chief of staff asking if they could update my flight when they had a moment, and within 10 minutes I had the updated reservation to share. Efficiency is priceless, and it's one of the most valuable non-tangible things you can buy via affording people whose baseline is excellence. I hired a white glove moving service when I needed to move my mom from independent living at one facility to assisted living at another facility. In about 3 hours, her entire apartment was emptied and on a truck heading to the new facility. In about another 3 hours, everything was unloaded, the bed was made, clothes were in the closet and drawers, and pictures were on the wall. As someone who has always helped move them or myself or my family, not having to lift a finger was amazing. That's when it clicked that this is what it's like to have real money. A night nurse when you have a new baby. Even 3 times per week when you have a newborn is just amazing. If you have a bad night and don't get much sleep, knowing you'll get a full night's sleep the next night totally changes your mindset. We did this. If you're breastfeeding, you don't get the full benefit, but it was so nice to have someone else there to make sure you had everything you needed. My husband has a generous paternity leave, but he spent the 4 nights I was in the hospital basically not sleeping and doing most of the heavy lifting while I was recovering from a C-section. So when we got home, he desperately needed the sleep. Having the night doula there to attend to the baby when they first woke up, come get me for feedings, make sure I had enough water or a snack, and then quietly disappear while I fed the baby was awesome. They even came back in to check on me to make sure I hadn't fallen asleep with the baby in my arms. When he was done feeding, I could hand the baby back for her to settle and go back to sleep. It was wonderful for the first 2 weeks, allowed me to actually recover from major surgery before getting into the thick of things. Ski in, ski out lodgings at ski resorts. At nice resorts, hotel rooms on the mountain go for like $800 to over $1,000 per night. So for the first 40 years of my life, I would stay at a Marriott or other hotel an hour or so away and drive to the mountain each morning just like everyone else. The traffic, the full parking lots if I'm 10 minutes late, the waiting for the shuttle, the long hikes in ski boots. Rich people avoid all of that. They get a ski locker on the bottom floor to store all their equipment in. When they want to go out, they walk to the door and just ski out to the lift. When they want to take a break at noon when the lines start getting long, they ski back to the hotel, leave their gear in their private locker, with boots on the warmer inside the locker so they're toasty for the afternoon, and go sit in the hot tub or get room service. No cafeteria, no lines, no wet, sweaty equipment, more energy to ski with, and just a totally different experience. Golden ticket at Disney World! I was a radio DJ and invited to broadcast my show from Hollywood Studios for the grand opening of their new American Idol attraction. Yeah, it was a while ago. One of the perks was a golden fast pass. I could go up to any machine and put the card in and get as many passes as I wanted for that immediate time and get in the short line. I was giddy, but I had this new power. I couldn't not share it. I started walking up to couples in the back of the line, you know, an hour wait, and said, "Just the 2 of you? Bam, here's 2 passes, go now." I would go up to machines and grab like 6 passes and hand them out. 4 of you? Here, skip the line. It was an intoxicating power. I felt rich, but unlike the wealthy, I shared my fortune. I stayed at a Ritz hotel once. 10 minutes after checking in, I was walking through the lobby looking for the restaurant, and a random staff member called me by name and asked how they could help me. It made me think about all the times I've heard some asshole say, "Do you know who I am?" At the Ritz, they sure as hell do.